On This Week in History.
Sponsored by the Great British Expos.
Home of the UK's largest regional business expos. Find out more at greatbritishexpos.co.uk.
Hello, this is Outstanding Paul, and this is On This Week in History. Oh. And I'm joined by my learned colleague, Mr. Pandora, otherwise known as Callum. I'd just like to thank Alec for continuing support on This Week in History on my live Friday show, which you can listen to every Friday at 3 o'clock, which is at the moment called The Entrepreneurial Journey, which is quite interesting from my point of view because every week is different. It's quite interesting. Sometimes it can be quite emotional. I actually find it quite cathartic.
All right.
And also it's quite interesting having to explain to someone what you're thinking or why you did what you did.
Sure.
Not something I would otherwise do. Non-COVID rated cough, by the way. So, kicking off today, we're in 322 BC. Ooh. So I think a man of your intellect, you could probably work out who might be related to this.
Greek.
Yeah, it's very good. It was the Battle of Crenon between Athens and Macedon following the death of Alexander the Great, who, of course, was a Macedon.
Macedonian,
His father was actually called Philip of Macedon. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I know he died in India, though.
Not his father didn't.
No, Alexander the Great did.
He did, at the age of 32, I think he was.
Very young.
Yeah, it's quite sad. So, obviously, Alexander built up the greatest empire the world had ever seen at that time, and went up as far as the Indus. And in fact, there's still whole loads of people in India today with blue eyes and blonde hair, which is entirely down to the influence of good old Alexander. Anyway, we then have to go 1,232 years into the future. And this is 910, for those of you who can count.
Something to do with Vikings?
Oh, I'm just on a roll. The last major Viking army to raid England was defeated at the Battle of Tattenhall by King Edward and Athelflaed.
Danes.
Yeah. So as we're talking about Al Murray, and Woden, of course, Al Murray, and obviously, you know, the fact that we saw the Vikings off in the end, and look at the Norwegians.
Yeah.
You know, once they were Vikings, and now they're Norwegians.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a mighty fall is what it is. I have to say, I think it's a bit unkind. I have a big.
We like old Norwegians.
Anyway, so Callum will like this one. In 1100, Henry I was crowned the king. So who was his father?
Was it William II?
William the Conqueror.
William the yeah, sorry. So he was William's the second's younger brother. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Yes. So Henry I was crowned the King of England, and then he reigned for 54 years, I think I'm right in saying. Could be wrong there. I've got 1154 in my mind. 1154 to 1187. Who knows? Yeah. Have to look into that one.
Yeah.
So number 4, 1265. King Edward beat Simon de Montfort at the Battle of Evesham. And Simon de Montfort was the most powerful man in Britain. And in fact, I've one of my clients is based, I particularly like actually, in Stratford-upon-Avon. And when I drive the scenic way back from Stratford-on-Avon, you actually go past Simon de Montfort's statue or whatever. So Simon de Montfort was, and he was, I think he was like hacked to death in the end. So he was the leader of the barons, basically. So, hey ho. 1303, a Cretan earthquake, or shall we say, an earthquake in Crete.
Not a cretinous one.
The magnitude of 8 causes a tsunami, including ships swept as much as 2 miles inland in Egypt.
Whoa, 2 miles inland?
Well, bearing in mind where Crete is, and then
yeah. So what year did you say that was?
1303.
Right, okay.
Any particular relevance for that to come on?
No. I just wondered if that... you might laugh. I wondered if that had anything to do with... What year was it that Alexandria, the city of Alexandria, obviously relevant because we're just talking about
lighthouse
Alexander. Obviously, Alexandria's like lost, isn't it, nowadays?
Yeah.
I wondered what... Because that was by a tsunami, wasn't it? That was destroyed?
Not sure. Anyway, number 6, 1305, William Wallace was captured. It's actually, I think he was actually betrayed by the Scots, his own people. And of course, he was sent down to London and had the most grisly death, where even the crowd begged the executioner to put him out of his misery. So he was seriously hung, drawn, and quartered as...
I'm not a fan of unnecessarily torturous deaths.
No, I just no am I. Anyway, we were talking about this earlier, so it's quite interesting. This in 1485, Henry Tudor's army landed in Milford Haven. How funny is that? Henry ap Tudor.
Henry ap
And of course, he
Tudor.
then marched to Bosworth battlefield, where he met Richard III, and he slew him in battle. Sir.
Slew him.
I slew.
He slew him.
I was slewn. Richard III was obviously deserted, I think, by the Percy family in his hour of need.
That's correct. Yeah.
Not a great fan of people deserting people in their hour of need.
You can see why they do it, though. Well, imagine if you say like you thought your wife and your kids might be killed or something.
No, they didn't do it for that reason, did they? Anyway, in 1890, this is quite a grisly fact. In the Auburn prison in New York, William Kennifer became the first person to be executed by electric chair.
That's not a good accolade, is it?
No, it's obviously a barbaric way of killing somebody, and some of the deaths you read about, people that have had sort of slightly botched one, shall we say.
Oh, man, yeah.
Anyway, so that's the first 8 facts of On This Week in History. But I think my tip is don't kill somebody in America or even give anyone half a chance. So next we have the cells of Sharon, which I rather like, and scorpions.
On this week in history, with outstanding Paul.
On This Week in History, brought to you in association with Great British Expos. Very fine bunch of people as well, I have to say. Very proud also to be the patron of Cherishers Charity, which is also run by Alec and Alison from Great British Expos. And we feed as many as 600 people a day, which is really good, really, isn't it, Renee?
I'm very impressed, sir.
Yes. Anyway, so moving on. This is an interesting fact. In 1918, Adolf Hitler received the Iron Cross on the recommendation of his Jewish superior, Lieutenant Hugo Gutmann. So there's an irony if ever
Man.
you got it. So,
I mean, what can you even say about that, Imagine that, you get him in such an honour by a Jewish man, and then like a decade or two later, you're like, actually, I'm going to kill them all.
So in the same year, in World War I, we have the last Zeppelin air raid, which was 4 Zeppelin airships, which raided over the North Midlands and the North East. Yeah.
The thing is with the Zeppelins, obviously they weren't very efficient, were they? They were easy targets.
And
not
they're quite intimidating, aren't you?
Intimidating, but at the same time, very easy targets and easy to destroy.
So
Very
there's some
fragile.
interesting facts today. I sort of got really good at picking a sort of cornucopia of abundance of different facts.
A myriad.
So in 1925, the first Ku Klux Klan march in Washington, D.C.
Sorry, what year?
1925. And it's estimated that the march had 25,000 to 40,000 followers. And of course, one of the funny, if you watch Forrest Gump at the start of the film, where they do the chronology of the Gump family, his grandfather actually was a Ku Klux. He's sitting there on his horse, and he puts on his Ku Klux Klan, and then he marches off. Well, of course, the way they do Forrest Gump is just
so
like
funny.
a total parody,
Yeah.
So, Mr. Gump was part of the Ku Klux Klan, so he was never had any chocolates. 1925, Plaid Cymru was formed.
All right. Yep.
Yeah, which is obviously
Political party.
in Wales.
Yep.
To basically represent Welsh interests, and obviously Plaid Cymru is committed to an independent Wales. It doesn't do so well these days, it has to be said.
Yeah. Well, I think a united Britain is a strong Britain.
Maybe. Another sort of, this is consistent with the theme today. So in 1930, a 2,000 strong mob lynched 2 young black men, Thomas Shipp and Abram Smith, in Marianne, Indiana.
I think I've heard of this before, yeah.
Shocking, really, what went on in those days.
Oh, absolutely
and still
awful.
does, to be
Absolutely
honest. Quite extraordinary. In 1940, Estonia was annexed by the Soviets. So Estonia, obviously one of the Baltic countries, Baltic states. And of course, going back into sort of the Middle Ages, sort of 1400, 1500, 600, Europe was a very different place. So effectively, you would have had people in Estonia, Latvia, Litvia looking very much towards Poland and Sweden. So you look at the sort of battles that were taking place at the time. You'd actually have the Swedes fighting against the Teutonic Knights or something, and that sort of thing. And of course, Estonia is quite a small country, small population, but again, I think they have a sort of a strong man tradition, don't they? I think.
Yeah, sure. Well, they've got like quite strong ties with Finland, haven't they?
Yes.
And obviously the Finns are really into that as well.
So obviously one of the worst legacies of the Second World War is what the Soviets did, and I guess what we allowed them to do. Now, Callum, I am desperately trying to see where it says 15 on my list. Do you know? I can't see.
Where it says 14?
Yeah, I might have to go. Yeah, well, you think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would like to think so.
So anyway, I was going to do this one. So in 1942, the Nazis order all Dutch homing pigeons to be killed.
What's wrong with the homing pigeons?
Can you believe that?
Oh,
It's an extraordinary fact,
pigeons.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Abundance and pigeon pie. That.
So they were sending the Dutch pigeons were sending encrypted
secret messages.
And the Nazis didn't like it.
Kill the pigeons.
Well, unlucky, mate, because Alan Turing broke the Enigma code anyway, and then you all got it, didn't you? You all got it.
No, it's just a sort of an extraordinary fact. Again, in 1945, again the Soviet Union established a communist government in North Korea.
Oh well.
So that obviously had a legacy, didn't it?
Well, yeah, still obviously communist to this day.
Well, and obviously we had the terribly traumatic and loss of life Korean War, which started in about 1953 or so and so.
And obviously,
of course, that led to one of the greatest British military engagements of all time, from the Glorious Gloucesters, which you probably know a bit about, where a very small band of Glorious Gloucesters defended a hill against forces maybe 10 times as great. So fair play. Although you are my greatest foe at cricket, I do love you all, and of course I have family in Gloucestershire. So big shout out to the Hopes. Yep, can't do a lot better than have a lot of hope.
And your father obviously was stationed in Gloucester and met your mother there.
I don't hold it against him, mind. So there we are. I think that's 2/3 of the facts now. It says symmetrical.
We're getting there.
I am a symmetrical person. So next we have one of Spandau Ballet's better songs, and it's Round and Round.
On this week in history with Outstanding Paul.
Thank you, gents, for that wonderful intro.
You're welcome, sir.
There we are, a bit of talent, I suppose. So welcome to the final part of On This Week in History this week. And I just realised, I can't count, so I'm now going to rectify the running order. So actually in 1942... No, we've done that. Sorry, in 1944... Come on now, Paul, you're supposed to be a professional. Anne Frank was arrested as a result of an anonymous tip-off. And even to this day, no one actually knows who was responsible for this.
Really?
One of the most desperate, sad things in my life, and it's interesting, if you read her diary, some of her amazing quotes and full of hope.
Yeah.
And to think that poor little girl hid for so long and then, met her grisly end and never had a chance to grow up, really. It's
poor little lass.
Quite upsetting.
Rest in peace, Anne Frank.
So in 1945, the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima even. Do you know the name of the plane?
The Enola Gay.
Which, of course, became a OMD song.
B-52 bomber.
Very good.
Wow.
We like this. Bit of intelligence here. So, where are we next? So the trouble is we're not having a list typed up. It makes... here we go. Oh, we did that. So, we're on next to 1954, and Roger Bannister beat John Landy, who was a famous, very good Australian runner, in what was then called the Empire Games, which of course is now the Commonwealth Games.
Interesting.
In Vancouver. And it was the first time that two men ran under 4 minutes in the same race. So I think Landy, when Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, Landy broke it a couple of weeks later, and then...
Am I right in thinking that it's one of those things, that 4-minute mile thing was one of those things where before it was broken, people thought it was impossible to break it? And
I don't know. I obviously wasn't around.
Yeah, no, I don't. I just didn't know if I'd heard that before. Obviously, you get that quite a lot sometimes, don't you, with athletic accolades?
Yes.
People think something's impossible, and then once it's broken, lots of other people break it. It's like a shift in psychological attitude.
1962, Jamaica became independent after 300 years of British rule.
Wagwan, man.
Yeah.
What do we say?
Wagwan means hello in
What's in the
Jamaican.
metals?
I remember Drew once said that to a teacher in school. They read his name out in registration and Drew went, Wagwan! And they just went, what? And Drew was like, it's hello in Jamaican. And they were just like, idiots.
Okay, it's quite funny. Obviously, Jamaica is a country that I think punches above its weight. Usain Bolt,
Bob Marley.
wonderful Bob Marley, Toots and the Maytals,
Yeah.
and various other.
They have
legendary-
great running team, don't they? Who's the other really good one? Obviously not as good as Bolt, but they've got another really standout
We've got
runner.
a couple of ladies. Yes. Anyway,
Sorry, sir.
can't remember their name.
You didn't mean to put you on the spot there, sir.
Yes, I don't. And that got on 21. So 1963 was a great train robbery, which led to £2.6 million being stolen. Of course, the famous great train robber was Ronnie Biggs, who managed to get over to Brazil and actually had a family over there.
So he never got brought to justice.
I think he did, didn't he?
He did he?
Yeah, I think he did. I'm not certain of this. This is a very sad tale. In 1964, Prometheus, which was the world's oldest tree, 4,862 years old, they estimate, was accidentally cut down. I mean, how do you accidentally cut down the world's oldest tree?
Whoever did that was a right numpty.
And this was
weren't
in
they?
Nevada.
All right. Some of the trees in America are just ginormous, aren't
Huge
they?
redwoods.
So that was the oldest one. So was it? How big was it? Do you know? Was it what? Do you
No.
know what species it was?
No.
I'm going to look
no.
into that.
Okay. In 1991, it's interesting this because we had a strategy day about 4 years ago about Christmas, and I asked everyone to pick who they thought was the greatest man in history.
Yeah.
And David Shearer's picked Tim Berners-Lee. And in 1991, Tim Berners-Lee released the files with his idea for a World Wide Web.
All right.
So Tim Berners-Lee was the founder of the internet, in
www.
effect. So, and of course, I mean, it's almost like you can't imagine life.
Yeah.
Even my parents, when I go around on a Sunday, and we do about 10% of the crossword by looking at my Google.
Yeah.
Sure,
Sure, yeah.
And we do.
That's cheating, isn't it?
That is cheating.
Well, I don't think it is.
Sorry to intercede. It was a bristlecone pine that Prometheus was. Yeah.
Bristlecone.
How big it was.
I think it first grew in 2898 BC.
Goodness. So, the final fact today, 24 facts brought to you. In 2018, the population of Australia hit. How much do you think?
Oh, I'm not very good at
When-
this.
when?
I'm gonna fool myself again.
2018.
Well, I know it's not very big because there's nobody that really lives inland in Australia. They all live on the coast. So let me think. If I think the population of Russia is about 50 million.
Russia?
Yeah, it's about 50 million.
200.
Is it? Okay, sorry. So I would say with someone like Australia, I'm going to guess like 30 million.
25.
Oh, not too bad then.
So what's the
Good
population of
going.
Great Britain at the moment, do you know?
Probably more than that, just because of how densely populated our cities are. 50 million,
Can I have a view?
maybe more.
More than that, I know.
67.
67. Yeah, because I remember hearing. I think the population of Ireland is something. Is it 9 million?
Less. Much less.
6 million.
4, I think.
Right. I'm
Anyway.
guessing 6.
So that's the end of On This Week in History. Hope you enjoyed our 24 tasty morsels. Actually quite a different sort of feel to the facts today. Obviously, I can't help what was done in the past. But I think there was a sort of a theme there, wasn't there? Which sort of
Yeah,
kept me
interesting chats.
And next we have You're My Love. You are the one that
You
I
dedicating that to
adore.
me?
No, certainly not. Liverpool Express, take it away.
On This Week in History,
Sponsored by the Great British Expos.
home of the UK's largest regional business expos. Find out more at greatbritishexpos.co.uk.